G'day folks, here's my super heavy appreciation video, aka it's all Bolt Thrower's fault. G'day folks, Jeff here, welcome back to the channel. The other day I was driving on the lengthy, irritating drive to Canberra to go to work. I was listening to a band called Gorthrop. It's a South Korean sludge band that my mate Alex had suggested. And I was impressed. Very, very heavy stuff. And I was thinking, it's all Bolt Thrower's fault that there's bands this heavy. Shouldn't happen, but I'm glad it does. So I thought, what the hell? Why don't I do a video as a bit of a tribute to the super heavy bands that I like. It's a bullshit category that I came up with, really. It's not just heavy bands, because yeah, if I did a video on heavy bands, which is pretty much every band I listen to, we'd be here for days. So super heavy, let me just define it really. It has to be stupidly heavy riffs, like, you know, horrible churning, you know, generally pretty chuggery. But it also has to have a ridiculously heavy sound. Now, as this is very obvious from my video, I am no musician. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about as far as tone and all that sort of stuff. I know what I like though, and I like super heavy bands. Basically, any band that sounds like, and this is the blueprint really, Realm of Chaos by Bolt Thrower. Very, very heavy record. Stupidly heavy for Bolt Thrower. I mean, the music, you know, their later music was just as heavy, but the sound was just ridiculous on it, so detuned. So yeah, basically my super heavy has to have not just chunky riffs, but also just a super detuned sound. It has to rumble, and it has to kind of make me chuckle in delight at just how ridiculously heavy it is. So as probably Simon from Explosive Action would say, it's got to give a bit of riff face of like, oh yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah, there's a million bands that could be in this category, but that said, I mean, there's a ton of other heavy bands that don't quite reach the super heavy definition for me. You know, stuff like Neurosis and Swans. It's way heavier than half these bands, really, but they don't have the filth. They need that, like, rumble, detuned. As you could probably tell from all my collection updates, that is stuff that I seek out pretty heavily, so I thought, what the hell, we'll do a bit of a tribute. So I'm starting with Realm of Chaos, like using that as the starting point. I mean, obviously there was heavy as ball stuff before that. I mean, they're obviously influenced by Sacrilege, which was heavy as shit for 1985, but it doesn't have that rumble, that sort of bulldozer feel to it. And I'm assuming that, you know, back in the day when people first heard like Venom or, you know, Discharge or even Black Sabbath, they were like, holy shit, what is going on here? So that's kind of the feeling for me when with Bolt Thrower and then some of these other bands that we're about to get to. So I started writing a list, and then I thought, I'm sure I'm forgetting something or other, and I was. And I still think I'm forgetting something even with the list that I've got here. So yeah, feel free to leave comments in the below as to what bands you think really should be in this category, that maybe it's bands I don't even know that I would very much like to check out. So, but in the meantime, I asked my brain's trust. Me and a couple of mates have a, you know, WhatsApp group chat sort of thing, ramble about metal and bitch about people, usual stuff. So I asked them, you know, gave them the definition, and yeah, they provided some damn fine ideas. So originally I was just going to do like 10 bands, but there's too much good stuff. Plus, with this sort of stuff, I'm not going to go into intense detail and say, oh, this is super heavy because he's doing a Mixolydian, whatever. It's pretty obvious why these are super heavy. So I'm going to play some longer samples in this, so this probably won't be monetized. Usually with my videos, when I put a sample in of a band, I try and keep it under, I think it's under 8 seconds. Usually that works fine. Sometimes it doesn't. Like, I mean, it just means I can't monetize it, like my Roadrunner top 20 albums or whatever it was for Roadrunner. That one got pinged for like 4 bands, and I couldn't monetize it because, yeah, it's fair enough. It's Roadrunner's intellectual property, so usually I like to just put a bit of a sample so that people can tell what it sounds like. But this one, bugger it. I'm going to play longer samples because some of this stuff is heavy, but it takes a bit of time to get going. So yeah, there'll be longer samples in this. I was thinking of trying to do it the like Radio Free Innsmouth style, where where he talks over the sample, and I assume he gets away with it. I'm pretty sure he's got ads, so maybe we'll get that one. Who knows? Fancy. So for this, I'm not doing Gore Grind. Yeah, I've rambled enough about Gore Grind, and yeah, most bands in Gore Grind probably almost, well, maybe not quite reach that definition, but so this is mostly death metal and sludge, and yeah, well, once the Brains Trust, once I gave them the go ahead on sludge sort of bands, they were like, oh yeah, the list got much longer. So yeah, anyway, let's get into it. All right, so the starting point, obviously, Bolt Thrower. Got to show off that beautiful gatefold, don't we? Look at that, isn't that beautiful? Anyway, so yeah, ridiculous album. This is Realm of Chaos, aka Slaves to Darkness. I always forget the second half of it. This came out in 1989. This was recorded in, I think, April 89. Ridiculously heavy album. I first heard this, I'm pretty sure my mate Jesse played me World Eater, the song, which was a pretty damn good introduction. It's ridiculously chunky start. I'll play a sample of it now. So yeah, I think I remember him playing it to me in his bedroom when we were hanging out one day. Either it was him or it was my good mate Andy, who was mad tape trader. He's probably the one who supplied it to Jesse anyway. I'm fairly certain it was, what we were listening to was Grind Crusher. This is actually the original version, which comes with a different song, which is actually my favourite Bolt Thrower song on Realm of Chaos, Through the Eye of Terror, which just has the most sleazy, horror, slithering kind of riff at the start. It's just so ridiculous. It's, yeah, instant smile on my face, just like, yeah. So yeah, that song, without doubt, I've never seen them do it live. I mean, I think they used to do it live. I've seen footage of it, and I don't know, I have don't have much memory of when I did see Bolt Thrower when they toured Australia in like 93 or whenever that was. I think they mostly played stuff off the Fourth Crusade. It was not as good as the later times that I saw them in America at like MDF and on tour, and those were damn good, as I've rambled before. So yeah, Through the Eye of Terror, I mean the whole album absolutely rules. Every song is just heavy as balls, but yeah, I'll play you the start of Through the Eye of Terror. So, what's heavier than Bolt Thrower? Well, it's obvious. Nah, just kidding. One of the early pickups that I got was this one, which I've showed off before, I'm quite certain, Pantalgia. I always get that wrong, Pantalgia. Compilation that came out on Mangled... what are they called? Mangled Beyond Recognition, I think, Records or something, German label. So it's a compilation, ridiculous amount of killer old bands: God Macabre, Rot Revor, Disembowelment, Cadaver, Crematory, Pandemonium, Cenotaph, Therion. So yeah, this one sold me a lot on the super heavy stuff. I think I'd already heard Disembowelment at this point, but some of the other band, like Rot Revor, probably should be on this list really, but yeah, there's only so much time you can get done. So my next band that I thought of, and this is not really in exact order when I heard all this stuff or anything, I'll do it in vague date order, sort of, not really, but the next band is Grave. Now, for them, I would have heard this first. This is Into the Grave, their first album. It's just a bodgy reissue, but anyway. I've had the CD for a damn long time. I love this, but what I love more is the song Extremely Rotten Flesh, but the version on Anatomia Corpus Humani, which sadly I don't own. I really do need to get that. That'll should be on my Discogs wish list, but yeah, it was a 7-inch that they put out in 1989 as well, and it's stupidly heavy. Like, it's rawer sound than the. I mean, this is friggin' raw as hell, but yeah, Anatomia is even rawer and nastier. But yeah, it opens with the song "Extremely Rotten Flesh," which is always one of my favourites, and it's even heavier on that version. There's like, they slow down that opening, killer riff. The kick in when he goes "Extremely Rotten Flesh." That riff after that's just tough as shit. Unfortunately, Jorgen doesn't sound quite as good as he does on the later stuff, but the guitar tone's just horrid. It's beautiful stuff. Bit of pitch shifter action going on as well, so yeah. I don't even know, yeah, I think it's on some of those Grave compilations that I've never managed to track down either without, well, I could if I wanted to spend a large amount of money. I don't know why those are, yeah, I think it was Necropsy. It was like a box set of all their demos back when they were like pre-Grave stuff as well. It's on that, I know, and I've got a download of it, but shit, I want the real thing. So one day I'll get that. But yeah, these guys, yeah, this was, I mean, there's pretty much the heaviest, well, one of the heaviest Swedish bands. We'll get to the next ones in a sec. So yeah, appreciate a bit. Not off this, off Anatomia, whatever. I'll put a picture of it up, because yeah, this nasty stuff. It's beautiful. Another band you can't not talk about in when you're talking about super heavy bands, Mortician. Yeah, I could pick any song of theirs and it'd be perfect for this video, really. I was originally going to put Zombie Apocalypse on this one, because that main riff is just beautiful. But when I was listening to it in the car, I got through Devoured Alive, which half the time I don't listen to because it's like 2-minute friggin' sample at the start. I'm like, eh. But I listened in that riff in that, oh yeah, we'll go with that one, I think. So yeah, these guys, ridiculously heavy. I would have first heard them probably on that Corporate Death. No, actually, it was that Death is Just the Beginning 2 or 3, or one of those compilations that Nuclear Blast put out when they were aligned with Relapse. And yeah, Blown to Pieces. It blew me to pieces. Great song. I probably did hear the other ones on Corporate Death, which are not as favourite of mine, but yeah, so that's Mortician. It's the Tish. No way I could not discuss them. So yeah, enjoy a bit of Devoured Alive. Alright, the next band is a Swedish one that was in my Swedish top 30, one of those videos, as was the next one, so yeah, you probably know who I'm talking about. Crypt of Kerberos. This is a rather, well, sort of short-lived death metal band from Sweden. This is a band that I'd heard were killer, or heard were heavy as hell, so I managed to pick up, like, years later sort of thing, a second-hand copy of World of Myths, which is not super heavy by any means. So yeah, I was like, really? this is heavy. Okay. I mean, it was alright, but nothing amazing. Then I think I finally got around to watching a bit on YouTube, or I downloaded it or something. And the first song on this, Sacrifice, which is from their Demo 91, which is, it seems to be their second release, but maybe that's just, I think it sounds like their first release. Stupidly heavy. I think it's got a somewhat lengthy sample at the start, but when it kicks in, it's just this swaggering, cool, heavy as hell riff. Just sort of, one guitar and then the rest kicks in, and it's like, holy shit. It was as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta buy this. So I tracked down, this is the Bleed Records version of it, which is a Melbourne label. So I contacted Marty from Anatomy, who runs it, begging him for a copy of this. I did actually get it off him, I think. Maybe I got it from JB. Anyway, I got it eventually, and yeah, it's stupidly heavy there. I mean, most of the stuff on here is pretty good. This is like a compilation of, this is called the Macrodex of War. So it's about, a couple of demos and a couple of EPs, and then some random tracks at the end of pre-production that didn't make an album or something or other, that are the lighter, not as exciting stuff. But the early stuff, it's so heavy, so ridiculous. So yeah, enjoy a bit of Crypt of Kerberos. Another one that was insta-buy after 5 seconds, if that, it was probably not even 5 seconds. Moondark with the Shadow Path. So this was another Swedish band, also in my Swedish Top 30 video. Yeah, ridiculous. This is like members of Interment, who was pretty friggin' heavy in the first place, but in this they ramped it up, obviously going for the bolt thrower worship sort of thing. And yeah, it's just death, well, I wouldn't say doom, but slightly doomy death metal, and it's ridiculously heavy. This is the only thing they put out for like 30 years or something or other. This is like a 93 demo. It's 7 tracks, so it's pretty decent. For some reason they like switched instruments from what they played in Interment, so talented lads obviously. I'd say this was just a muck around. Oh yeah, let's just do something stupidly heavy, and they succeeded. So yeah, I didn't hear this for decades after it was released really, but it was another one of those lists, someone listed it as stupidly heavy, and I was like, okay, I'll check that out, and yeah, instant desire to buy that one. So thankfully these guys are still going. I think, yeah, no, they are still going. They came back with a new album late last year, which is pretty friggin' killer. Not quite as killer as this, and I mean the vocals on this are just stupid as well, like ridiculous growls on it. So yeah. Moondark, enjoy the rumble. no way we couldn't cross the border over to Finland for this type of video, that's for sure. I could do a whole video on super heavy Finnish death metal bands. Maybe I should. Anyway, so an obvious choice for me, and yeah, one of the true masters is Abhorrence. This is a Finnish death metal. Like I think it was one, maybe a couple of members that went on to be in Amorphous, but at least the main guy I think was in both. This is just a compilation that came out, I don't know, many years ago on Svart. Completely vulgar, well worth getting. So the choices on this is the 7-inch EP that they put out. It was one of the ones that came out on like Seraphic Decay. It was notorious bootleg bodgy label, and this is a bootleg of their notorious compilation. So yeah, there's 4 tracks, or 5 tracks including an intro on that. That's easily the best sound for me. There is also this also has the Vulgar Necrolatry demo on it as well, but which has killer songs, don't get me wrong, but the sound is, it's a bit arse. And there's like live stuff on this as well, which is, not the greatest. But the EP tracks on this are just untouchable. I didn't actually hear them until later, actually. There was not a band I had a copy of earlier on. I think it was just not until Funebrarum covered, Caught in a Vortex on the split with Interment that I was like, oh yeah, Abhorrence, maybe I should check them out. I mean, I loved Amorphous and so on, but I hadn't heard Abhorrence, so I'm glad I did. So yeah, this is stupidly heavy, so I'm not even sure what song I'm going to pick for this one, so yeah, enjoy a bit of Abhorrence. And it's a fairly obvious jump straight to Amorphous from Abhorrence. So, yeah, what's his name? Tommy, is that the main guy? Yeah, he's vocals and guitar on this. So, yeah, he's I think the main dude in Amorphous still. And this is ridiculous. This didn't actually come out till '93, but it was recorded in '91, so not too long after the Abhorrence stuff. I don't know if they just like kicked the singer out or who knows what happened, but different singer. But this is just as ridiculous. I hadn't even heard this for quite a while actually. This is a band, Amorphous, I got into via, I had a tape of Tales of the Thousand Lakes. I'm sure I told this story in probably my Real Apes video, but which I didn't know what it was because it wasn't labelled. It was like stuck on the end. I think it was half the album or something. So I had no idea what it was. I loved it. I listened to it a heap, and then I think eventually I worked out, based on obviously the song Black Winter Day says that line many times. So eventually I worked out what that was, and in a record store I was sort of just looking through in good old Impact Records in Canberra. I was looking through various CDs trying to find something with Black Winter Day, and this is pre-internet obviously, and eventually got it. So I was happy with that. So I already had that and the Carillion Isthmus, whatever, which, yeah, it's pretty cool. Everyone seems to love that one. I like this way more. So I didn't actually hear this for a while, and then, yeah, downloaded it or whatever and just put it on. I was like, holy crap, that's how heavy Amorphous really should sound. So this does have a batch of songs. Well, it's got Vulgar Necrolatry. Maybe that is the only old Abhorrence song on it, but very much in the vein of Abhorrence. And yeah, I think we'll probably be hearing a bit of Black Embrace, but yeah, 6 songs. I have actually only ever seen Amorphous the once, I think. I don't think they played anything off this. They played like Drown Maid, which was killer, but nothing. I don't think they played Vulgar Necrolatry, even though they do play it occasionally. But yeah, again, stupidly heavy guitar tone. I'm guessing this is Where was this recorded? Oh, it's probably not going to tell me, is it? Yeah. I would have thought this was recorded at the classic Tico Tico studio in Finland, but who knows? Doesn't really say. I'll put it up on the screen if it was, but yeah, enjoy a bit of the sheer stupidity of old Amorphous. As I said, I could go on about Finn Death for some time, but probably the heaviest one for me, and this is one I actually had forgotten for a time, so thankfully I did eventually remember it. Ripaculo. This is their Mustus Ammonia or something or other demo from 93, so yeah, this is the heaviest sound-wise Finnish death metal band. That's stupendous. Most of it's this probably would be classed as death doom or just very slow death metal. A lot of these bands are not really death doom, but slow death, let's put it that way. And this is, yeah, a lot of it is at a crawling sort of pace, but then with speed ups that just crush. The vocals are super deep, sounds super deep. I got very lucky and saw these guys at MDF in, what was that, 2019? I suppose it was. And maybe it was 2014, I don't know. MDF in the last 10 years, and it was ridiculously good, way better than I expected. I figured they'd be good, but that was friggin' killer. That sound at, what was it, Ram's Head, just perfect sound for them, so I was in heaven for that. One of my favourite gigs for sure. So, yeah, I don't actually have, they did like a comeback EP, I think, which I still don't have, so I really should track that down. There is another demo as well, which for some reason wasn't put on record, I don't think. Maybe it's crappier sounding, but this one, holy shit, this is heavy. Yeah, enjoy some Ripaculo. There's got to be a bit of Aussie stuff in this. It's my video, why not? So for this I'm going to go with Necrotomy. Now this is an old Melbourne death metal band. If you've watched my my top 20 Aussie demos, these guys did pretty well. Sadly that's all they ever did. They did 2 demos and then like a couple of tracks that weren't really released except for this thing. This is Sounds of Ordinary Madness. This is a compilation, Aussie compilation, came out on Deported Records. As like Christbait, Magnesite, Bloodduster, Damaged, Bean Flipper, and one Necrotomy song, which is the song Doors of Perception, which is what you'll be hearing a bit of shortly. And yeah, I mean, these guys, their demos, the 2 demos that they did were ridiculously heavy as well, which you can see there. I do own them, but they're stuck on the wall. I couldn't be bothered getting them out of the case, so tough luck. But the track that I'm going to pick is off their unreleased sort of, I don't know, 2 songs that they recorded in '94, I believe. And yeah, I heard them first on this, or one of them on this, and it was as I think I told before, I was sitting there waiting for the guitars to kick in before realising, the guitars have kicked in. It just sounded like most distorted, horrible bass sound. And so it's just super detuned, super ridiculous. She'll be able to kill a growl as well. So yeah, these guys are pretty straight death metal, just nasty, heavy stuff. Saw them live twice, I think. And yeah, ridiculously heavy live, just a wall of sound. But yeah, and wall of sound on CD as well. So this is like a bodgy bootleg that I can't even remember who did this one. But interestingly, the version of this, I listened to this today. The version of Doors of Perception on this is not the version of this, because it sounds like bloody arse on this. So I don't like your chances of ever tracking this down, but this has got the proper version of it, which is probably what the MP3 that I used for this video will be from. So, but yeah, amazing freaking band, heavy as all buggery. And I'm sorry, you're probably sick of me saying, it's heavy as hell. If you got a drinking game going, you're probably pretty drunk by now. So yeah, anyway, enjoy some Necrotomy. Plenty of heavy bands that I could pick for this from Australia, but another slightly less obvious one, well, probably not if you've heard this, it's Paramecium. This is a old Christian death doom sort of band from Melbourne, I think. This is their, what is it? Exhumed of the Earth album from 1993. So, I don't know, I don't see these guys mentioned very much. I mean, possibly because they're Christian and people don't like that side of it. Possibly poor distribution. I mean, this looks to be self-released, so, and I mean, they have 4 albums, I've only got this one, so I've got pretty easy access to Australian second-hand stuff, and maybe I saw them in shops, but I remember buying this, so, yeah, these guys stupidly heavy. I saw these guys a couple of times in their demo sort of days. I remember one gig was like a all-Christian gig at Belconnen Youth Cafe with Mortification headlining, and a couple of other bands that were all pretty shit, except for these guys. These guys ruled. They were on first, no nonsense, no preachy, wanky stuff in between songs, which the other bands did a lot of. And Mortification, I don't know, people like Mortification. Yeah, I don't really. Not because they're Christian, just because they're average. They're not terrible, but I don't know. They always get hyped as a, amazing Aussie band. It's like, they're alright. But anyway, Paramecium, these guys were killer. And yeah, this is ridiculous. The first song is the one that I'll be picking. What is it? The Unnatural Conception in 2 parts. The Birth and the Massacre of the Innocents. I do love the fact that this is like a Christian metal album, and they got all songs like Injudicial, The Killing, Untombed, Voyage of the Severed, Hemorrhage of Hatred, and Removed of the Grave. So it's very nasty sounding songs that, and yeah, I'm fairly certain the lyrics, if I recall correctly, yes, you won't be able to see that for shit, but they have many little, Matthew 27, 3-4, like, against the line, so, man, they took their faith seriously, good for them. But thankfully they made some killer death themes, so yeah, the first song is one I'm picking. It's a very long song, it's 17 minutes, I won't be playing it all, that's for sure, but it starts off with this, this killer ambient sort of drone, nice bit, and some nice female vocals that go for a bit, and then it just kicks in with the most chunky ass sound. It's pretty much World Eater kind of riff. Like a few of these bands they've obviously heard World Eater many a time. The drums sort of slowly pick up, and the drums are bloody killer on this. Jason Sherlock knows what he's doing. So yeah, when the extra beats kick in, it sounds bloody killer. There's like a little variation that makes it even tougher. I mean, it goes friggin' ever, but the opera female vocals kind of kick back in, and yeah, it's a nice sort of light to dark contrast, but the sound is just stupendous. Yeah, still remember first putting it on, just going, far out. That is heavy. So yeah, enjoy some Christian death doom. And the final Aussie one that I'm going to pick is Obfuscate Mass. This is our old Queensland death metal band. This is a Confused Darkness demo from, what, 92. These guys maybe don't quite fit in the super duper heavy category of, you know, super detuned, but the vocals take it there, really. The vocals on this are stupendous. I could probably do a separate video on just ridiculously heavy vocalists that, you know, blank the music out almost, sort of thing. So yeah, I never saw these guys. I've never even seen the original demo tape. This is another of those less than legit ones. I think I do remember who did these ones actually. So I'm happy to have this, because there's no way that tape is bloody ever appearing in my vicinity, I don't think. Don't know how many there were. I did actually, I've always loved these guys because, well, I have one song on this Come to Daddy compilations. This is an old Aussie compilation, and I've been thinking I might do a separate video on killer old Aussie compilations and, you know, the cool stuff you can find on them, sort of thing. I mean, I don't like your chances of finding any of these, but might be fun to talk about. So yeah, Obfuscate Mass, ridiculously heavy, unsurprisingly. So yeah, enjoy a bit of them. It's nasty stuff. It's beautiful. Alright, another quality death metal band. This is Infesta with To the Depths of Degradation. This is their album from 1994. This is a recent Martyrdom reissue that's very well worth getting. Killer band, weird American death metal band. Really not the most serious, you can tell from lyrics and all sorts of bits and pieces, but yeah, these guys, the sound maybe doesn't quite meet the definition, but it's another one aided by brutal vocals. And it is mostly fast, or at least mid-pace, but when they slow down, that's when the super heavy shit begins. So, yeah, stupidly heavy stuff. Cool ass art. This is a band, another one that, I mean, how can you not like a band with that band photo? Hey, old mate, for the win. This is another band I didn't hear back in the day at all. So, yeah, I'm very glad that Martyrdom reissued this one, because very, very well worth getting. So yeah, enjoy some rather crazed Infesta. finally in the deathish sort of category, and I know I said I wasn't doing gore grind, and I don't really quite consider these guys gore grind, but there's no way I can't not do Hemdale, the gods themselves. They probably don't quite meet the definition most of the time. Like in the faster bits, it's pretty fast, but when these guys slow down, oh my god, it gets so ridiculous. I think it's mostly Pus-Filled Carcass is probably the breakdown bit that I'll use for this, because it's just stupendous. Plus, I mean, it's a nice contrast with his usual sort of splattery kind of screamed vocals versus the super deep stuff that he uses for the slower bits. I think Licking Mental Patience, yeah, that song as well as another ridiculously heavy bit. I mean, he did follow this on with Accept Death. It's never quite clicked as much for me, but honestly, I need to listen to it a lot more. Put Hemdale on way too often. So yeah, crazed music. So yeah, enjoy a bit of Pus-Filled Carcass.
The second canopic packet is the individual's penis, which was a little strange because it did not just contain the end of the tissue, but the entire member, which is now completely dried out.
So there are some pretty bloody heavy black metal bands. I wasn't really going to cover them. I mean, again, back to Finland. Some of the heavier ones that impressed me back in the day was like Alien Powered Nazarene, like Goat Perversion, the song. When that kicks in, far out. That's pretty much super heavy. But vast majority of their stuff's blasting or fast as hell, screaming stuff. Mythos, their Unreal Moon song, when that kicks in, holy shit. So that's a sort of sub-genre almost of black metal that I love, like heavy Finnish black metal, like Archgoat. I didn't hear it till later, but yeah, they're freaking impressive as well. So really detuned sound, growly sort of vocals, but still black metal sort of style. So the band that I am going to pick is pretty similar style to that. We're talking about Australia's Dark Lord. Now, this demo is probably even heavier than the song I'm going to pick. This is by the Force of Sacred Magic Rites. They only did like 2 releases or whatever. So, but what I'm going to go with is Symphony Satanica. This is their full-length album from 2002. I didn't actually know these guys until I heard this compilation, which is the old Sawblade. This is Dissident Records, an old Queensland record label from Australia. It actually is a Sawblade. Yeah, this is their compilation they put out. A ton of killer stuff on this. Psychrist, Astrial, Miscreation, Stargazer. This has got my favourite Stargazer song on here, Magician, actually. But yeah, the Dark Lord song is Blood of Angels, which is the second song on here. Yeah, which kicks in with this, like, you know, drum roll and this galloping, heavy as shit riff. Most of this stuff, I mean, this is a long album. They've got pretty long songs. Yeah, this is the classic two-necked guitar band. Heaps of solos, but super detuned, just as heavy as balls. It's so ridiculous. And yeah, Blood of Angels is one of the few sort of, you know, not discernible riffs, but slower riffs. And it's, yeah, this rumbling, galloping sort of bit, and it's such a beautiful opening. It's friggin' tough. So yeah, that's exactly what you'll just be about to hear. do some more recent death metal ones in a bit, but for now we move on to sludge, and yeah, there's no way you can't do a sludge doom sort of band without Electric Wizard. So this is their Come My Fanatics album from '97. Well, this is actually a compilation that has both their albums on it, well, the first album as well. So yeah, amazing friggin' tone on this. The start of Return Trip is what you're about to hear, which is just, yeah, builds from like feedback and then this nice sort of bass line, and then just when the guitars kick in, it's just a wall of guitar, just dominates everything. It's Rumble Central, I wrote down, and it's not wrong at all. And you know, the crazed pain sort of vocals later on don't hurt either, but yeah, this is peak Wizard for me as far as their guitar sound goes. Yeah, Rumble Fest, it's beautiful. The main reason that sludge is even in this video is because this next band, it's my instant go-to of super heavy sludge. We're talking Warhorse. This is American sludgy doomy sort of band. This is their what is it? When Heaven Turns to Ash album from 2001. And if you know this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The start of this has like a 2-minute, you know, acoustic kind of nice. Just acoustic guitar, I think, or, you know, unelectrified guitar or whatever. It's a nice little mellow intro, and then it just lulls you into a false sense of security. This is going to be nice, and then the kick in is just massive, so detuned, so heavy. It's my instant one, and yeah, I mean, the reason why I listen to these guys is Josh from Pod People was always rambling on about how heavy they were, so I bought this and I was floored. It's the prime example for me. I mean, a killer album overall, but just that start bit, it's just, I mean, they do have nice sort of, you know, trippy underwatery sounding sort of bits, and the vocals are kind of that throaty cathedral sleep kind of style. Not super deep, but very effective, but just that guitar sound. So I don't know how long I'll play of this. I'll play a bit of the mellow and then the kick in, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Originally one of the lads suggested Iron Monkey. This is their self-titled EP, and sure enough, Fink Dial, the first song, the opening riff of that, super tough. Harsh screamed vocals, really accentuates the chunkiness of it, but I don't think the sound's quite there in the bottom end for me. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of heavy bands out there, but they're not quite meeting the definition. One band that certainly does, from similar sort of style, is Conan. This is their I think it's their first one, Horseback Battle Hammer, which, yeah, I mean, probably bought it due to the awesome cover, the fact it's called Horseback Battle Hammer, and the fact the band's called Conan. But I'm very glad I did, because this is stupidly heavy. The main song that's sucking me in is, and what you'll be hearing a bit of, is Satsumo, the second song. Just ridiculous rumble action. It's fuzzed out as all hell. In my notes I wrote Apocalyptic Bulldozer, which I think is pretty fitting really for these guys. And the speed up in it is just beautiful. I was very happy to see them play that song live. I think that when they first toured, there's like a cool photo that Josh still had, which is a bit strange, of him and I reacting essentially to seeing Conan for the first time. And believe me, when I first saw these guys in Canberra, they played at the back room at the basement, which is a smaller kind of room, and the sound was just perfect. It was so heavy, so rumbly, but clear, and that was one of the best sounding gigs I think I've been to, and it was one of those ones that actually hit you in the chest. I don't know. I remember in my youth when I was first going to gigs in the late 80s, early 90s. Some bands that, I don't know if it was just the PA was too loud or something, but you'd feel like the kick drum in your chest after a while. That's what Conan was like. It was beautiful. It's such a grand experience. So, yeah, Josh and I were pretty stoked on that. And I don't know if I think they played it last time I saw them. I've seen Conan twice, maybe 3 times, who knows. They were never quite as good as that first time, but yeah, this, enjoy. Talking sludge doom, there's no way we're not mentioning Corrupted. Japanese gods. This is their Se Heis por los Sueños Asesinos, something from 2004. So yeah, for some reason this guy's Japanese doom that's singing in Spanish mostly. Alright. Yeah, so many songs to choose from for this. Yeah, I could pick a million. As I think I said in one of my other videos, I do prefer the slightly earlier stuff. This is sort of mid-era, I suppose. But the early stuff like, what is it, Si Mismo Defensa, that's stupidly heavy, as is Aaron Strandos solo. Just that opening riff in that. And Empty as well. Like, yeah, I could keep going and going, but the Brains Trust themselves, that several of them suggested Sus Futuros, that's the last song on this, which is actually a faster song. I mean, Corrupted, as they went on with time, they got long bloody songs that are like 30-40 minutes long sort of thing. Sus Futuros is only like 7, I think it's under 8 minutes. Scandalous. And yeah, it's a bit faster. It's actually got a faster groove than usual for Corrupted, but yeah, Rumble Fest. It's so beautiful. And then that's just instrumental. When the vocals kick in, like, what's his name? Heavy, I think. When he starts growling, holy shit, it's even more devastating. So, yes, if you don't know Corrupted, bloody get them. Any of their stuff rules, but yeah, this one, Rumble Fest. ridiculous sludge band that... Another instant thought when I came up with this. This is a compilation. Oh no, one of those bovine thingies falling out. This is a Bovine Records compilation they put out called Loud and Ugly Volume 2, I believe. Yeah. So, as you can see the bands on the back, I think I've shown this off before. I Hate God with Dixie Whiskey, my favourite song of theirs. Floor with Iomi. A couple of Despise You songs, or a couple more Despise You songs. Apartment 213 with the song Decay, another of my favourite of their songs. But yeah, the last song on this is Thug with Cancer Causes Rats. Now I believe Thug was a band that had Sean, the label guy from Bovine Records, that put out some killer bloody stuff. As you can see from this cool little flyer. What else we got? Turbo Negro? Really? Holy shit. Grief Suppression, Spaz. Yeah, so this is a killer little compilation, and yeah, ending with Cancer Causes Rats. It's ridiculous sludge. It's got like harsh screamed vocals all the way through it, but the guitar is just, the sound is so tough. It probably doesn't quite have the lower level rumble, but yeah, it's one of the toughest guitar sounds I can think of. I've actually just discovered there's another version of that song on a different compilation that so I was trying to download a better version MP3 of this and found a different version that was a bit slower actually, if anything, but it kind of lacks the brute force sound of the guitar on this. There is actually a cover of, I think, what is their name? Intensive Care. And a split they did with like Full of Hell, I think they cover that song, and yeah, they do it pretty cool. But yeah, the original Thug, well, this version of the Thug one, tough as shit. So yeah, enjoy some Cancer Causes Rats. It won't take long for you to work out why these guys are on this video. More recent sludge sort of band that are very much impressed, and I'm still yet to see these guys live, as Derailment. This is a Melbourne band with various dudes from many other bands, that's for sure. So yeah, ridiculously dense tone on this, and Sev's sort of throaty growls really don't hurt either. So yeah, I actually really love it. They use several guest female vocals that are, I think one's actually sort of sung kind of, but other ones have like screamed, and they sound bloody killer, just tough as shit. So yeah, these guys absolutely crush. I don't know what song I'll pick. World Suck is a pretty damn good one, so yeah, enjoy a bit of Derailment. These guys are absolutely killing it. And the band that started all of this was Gorthrop. So yeah, their Kuboa album just came out. I don't own it yet because it only came out a month ago, and I haven't ordered it. It came out on Sentient Ruin, so I'll put a picture of it up. Yeah, stupendous stuff. Just growled, horrible nastiness, the most ridiculous tone. So yeah, enjoy some Gorthrop.
I am Korea. I am Korea. No drag. No drag. I am Korea.
go on and on with sludge bands as I could with death metal bands. So, I mean, Goat's Blood, this album friggin' rules. I was also suggested like Goat Smoker, which is another Melbourne sludge band that going pretty friggin' nice these days. Their latest album rules as well. Dean suggested Drug Honky, who I hadn't actually heard before, but I think they probably would meet the definition if I'd actually owned anything of theirs. Yeah, whatever their... I can't remember what album he suggested, but no, that was some scary stuff. I very much enjoyed that. So, yeah, that's it for the sludge part of it. When I was writing for this video, I got the inkling to do a subcategory, you could say, of this. This is I don't know, a style that I like that probably wouldn't be worth a whole video of. Bass drops, as I think they're called. As I said, I'm no technical expert by any means, but I like it when bands have massive bass explosions, and really not that many bands do it. I'm surprised. Maybe more do, but the most... So here's a couple of bass drops that I really enjoy, and the most obvious one, good old Suffocation. I mean, this guy's heavy as shit. Way heavier than half the other bands, but they don't quite qualify for super heavy from the rumble side of things, although this album would be getting there, I reckon. This is Pierced From Within, their third album from '95, probably my favourite of theirs. I'm still toss up between this and Effigy, but either way, this album friggin' rules. And the bass is already heavy enough on this, but occasionally, so they only use it a couple of times, which strikes me as a little odd. Occasionally they bring in these bass peaks or drops or whatever the hell you want to call it. And yeah, they only seem to do it on 2 tracks. They do it on like Pierced From Within, the first song, and then I think Brood of Hatred. It sounds pretty cool. And yeah, it's just massive bass explosions. It's used really well on Pierced From Within, and that's a bit old player on this, you know, one of their breakdown super chunky sort of bits. It just adds so much more heft to an already friggin' heavy bit. So, I don't know, I find it weird that not that many other bands seem to use it too much. Like, I mean, I don't listen to that much brutal death metal sort of stuff, but I would have thought it would be perfect on, like, Devourment and stuff like that. Maybe they do, and I just missed them, but maybe it's just not as obvious as I thought, but yeah, Suffocation do it pretty well, so enjoy some bass peakage. I think I've mentioned this before, probably in my Relapse video, but good old Contaminated. This is a compilation that Relapse put out that's it's a bit rude, but anyway. This is a compilation that came out in '99, the sampler, and on this has Cephalic Carnage. So it's the first time I heard them, I think. It's actually, I suppose it's after Conforming to Abnormality or whatever their first EP was. I better not show you those pictures. Anyway, there's a version on this of Cryptosporidium, which is on the first album, Exploiting Dysfunction, I think it's called. But this one has bass peaks, and it's a different recording. I don't know where the hell this is from anything else. I'm assuming they just did it just for this promo, maybe, who knows. But it's so ridiculously well used. I mean, they're... Cephalic Carnage music's really pretty crazy, death metal, death grind almost sort of thing. Lots of weird stuff going on, strange asides and tangents they go on. But this one, I really enjoy the song anyway without the bass peaks. But yeah, we used to play it on radio all the time when I did a radio show with my mates Mark and Jonesy, and partly because we had such good monitor speakers in the studio, it sounded so good. It probably sounded like arse on radio, especially on bloody AM. And it doesn't sound as good on MP3, so if you listen to this sample and think, what the hell's he talking about? Believe me, it sounds really cool, so this is worth tracking down. And playing very loud on a good stereo, so yeah. Bit ridiculous, but it's used so well, and I was surprised. I was actually surprised to hear that Exploiting Dysfunction album when it came out and they didn't have them. It's like, what are you doing? It sounded great. Anyway, Cephalic Carnage. another instant thought when I think of bass drops is Dripping. This is New Jersey or New York, one of those two. East Coast American death metal band. Crazy weird tech death with like slam bits all the way through it as well, and I love these guys so much. Super guttural vocals mixed with like crazed screams that have all these weird samples like cool Bruce Lee samples and female nice vocals and hip hop bits and so on. But they also have some friggin' hefty bass drops on here. I believe they're 808 drops, I think. So I'm assuming from the drum machine, but as I said, I don't know how they do these, but whatever they do, they're doing it bloody effective. It sounds like a bomb going off. It's so bloody good. Now, yeah, it totally accentuates the sort of breakdowny, chunky bits that they're playing. So, yeah, again, why don't more bands do this? Bass drops, people, do it. Another very impressive sonic bit, and this is one I don't actually own, is the band Torch from Florida, I suppose they are. Yeah, their song King Beef, which was on a split with Boris they did called Chapter Ahead Being Fake. And yeah, the song King Beef, it's a weird sort of song. It's got strange, I don't know, they've got these massive, I'm not sure if they're actually officially bass drops or just really big ass bass sound, but really effective. They've got these strange bits where it's like kind of like a stringed kind of instrument, or not really sure what's actually being played at the time, but there's a massive thumping in the background. It's such an effective contrast, so beautifully done. Yeah, and the huge drums really don't hurt either. So yeah, this is a strange band. I think they toured and I missed them, which is a bugger. I don't think they're going anymore. So yeah, check out some Torch. Alright, and lastly in the bass drop sort of field, and again, this one's maybe not a bass drop per se, but it's friggin' effective. Good old Godflesh. This is their Decline and Fall EP from 2014 when they were resurrected basically, and the song on here is Playing With Fire. It's bloody huge. I mean, it's a killer song as is, and I mean, with Godflesh, the bass is always very dominant. You know, a lot of the time the guitars are just sort of like feedback or melodies or I'm not sure what's going on sort of thing, but the bass is always there throbbing away. But on this song, Playing With Fire, it's just the song has some quite sort of dreamy, nice guitars, but the bass is sort of throbbing along. But after the second chorus, it just goes into overtime, and it's just crushing stuff. There is like a dub version, well, not on this record, but on the CD version, there's a dub version, which, unsurprisingly, is even bassier, but it's not quite as effective as the normal version, just as far as that bit goes. So, yeah, there's no way Godflesh weren't going to be in this. They're probably not quite a super heavy band, even as heavy as Street Cleaner is sonically, but yeah, they're friggin' heavy. So yeah, enjoy some Playing With Fire. So I don't think I've actually seen bands use bass drops live particularly, not that I've ever noticed at any rate, except back in, oh god, it was at least 10 years ago, the first time Catatonia toured Australia, they played a festival called No Sleep Till Festival, which was, yeah, varied, you could say. It was all metal-ish or heavy sort of stuff. Oh, there were some punk bands, I think, in there as well, but, you know, not nice bands. It was pretty varied. I was there for Catatonia. I went to, like, both Melbourne and then Sydney as well, like the next day. My friend Katie and I were keensters for Catatonia there. I mean, there were some other good bands. Gore played, they ruled. I did actually see most of 3 Inches of Blood, who were surprisingly good. I think Megadeth played, and I missed them the first time, but I saw them the next night, and they were pretty average. And Parkway Drive, and yeah. But the thing is, there was heaps of young people bands there. Let's just put it that way. I can't remember which one it was. I was sitting down, like this is in Melbourne, there was like, I was sitting in this grandstand watching the bands. I think I was waiting for Gore, maybe. I think it was either a Day to Remember or maybe a Treyu, one of those two. So yeah, young people metal that is not in my collection. It's not even in my hard drive. And whatever band it was, it was alright. What they were doing, I appreciated it. It was not my thing, except for the fact they had these massive bass drops that they'd use all the time, and like rattled the grandstand that I was in, which was not very young, and I was like, holy shit, they're moving the place. So I think it was a Day to Remember, but I could be completely wrong. At any rate, whoever it was effective, and it made me appreciate young people music a little more. The fact that they were challenging the, you know, doing something interesting sonically. So I'd like to see more bands try that sort of thing. Too many bands sound pretty bloody similar. I want to see some weird stuff, some bass drops, some strange stuff. So yeah, that's my young people metal story. Alright, so to wrap this up, we'll just do some newer death metal-y sort of bands that are carrying the torch of Bolt Thrower. And again, I mean, half these bands probably weren't really influenced by Bolt Thrower, but I was. that's all that matters. So this is bands that still meet the super heavy category, that are still pumping it out, and I'm really happy with it. First up, we got Ruin with their Spread Plague Death album from, 2021. So this is a LA death metal band. Been going for a while. I've mentioned these guys plenty of times before. One of the bands that for some reason I seem to be collecting all their stuff. Well, probably because they're bloody killer. So this is my favourite of their ones. It's the best, most putrid sound. Love the... I mean, this is actually an older band. I think they had like a couple of demos back in the 90s and then split up for like 20 years or whatever and returned. I love the vocals on this as well. They're kind of splattery, but when he growls, it's very effective. But the sound on this is just churning horribleness. Certainly doesn't help they've got these sort of unsettling samples that just adds a little more horror to it all. So yeah, as far as newer bands go, this one is highly recommended. Check it out. Next up is one that came out in 2023. This is Reverence to Paroxysm with their Lux Mort album. The logo on the back for some reason, but anyway. This is a Mexican band. This is Antimo from, Disgorge, and also Casalombra, who I hadn't actually bothered checking out for some weird reason. Their new album, I don't think it's even a new album. It came out a couple of years ago, but I think it's been reissued. That's also in the similar category to these guys. I'll be tracking that one down quick smart. But yeah, this album, this is another 5 seconds on Bandcamp, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm buying that. No way, no, I'm not buying that. stupidly heavy detuned sound. They've definitely got the Finnish sort of element going on this. There's like some the Finnish lead sort of style that is so effective. Adds just even more atmosphere and dread to it. But yeah, it's a rumble fest. It's vocals are stupidly heavy, so yeah, check out some Reverence to Paroxysm. Another killer modern sort of band is Eternal Rot, which is I think it's a British and Polish joint country band. Yeah, putrid death metal, as you can tell from the quality Mark Riddick cover art. And yeah, these guys ridiculously detuned. I will complain, their songs are a bit long. They're like 7 minutes long, half of them, but still heavy as buggery. So yeah, I've still very much enjoy these guys, and I've been buying up big on whatever I can find of these guys, because yeah, this is heavy. Last but definitely not least, and you'll recognise this if you watched any of my top 20 videos from last year, Stenched, with their, what is it, Purulence gushing from the coffin. Yeah, so this one did very well in my top 20 albums of last year, mainly because it's a super heavy, ridiculous stomper of an album. So this is a Mexican one-man band, I think, and yeah, it is ridiculous. This is the Simon from Explosive Action riff face band that whenever I listen to this, I picture him just going. And yeah, as you can tell from my microphone, I'm quite the fan of these guys. Also, the sticker just happened to fit nicely, but anyway. So yeah, despite the rather pink cover, this is ridiculously heavy stuff. So I love this. This has got the full swagger that I really like from super heavy bands, that sort of lumbering kind of, swinging a giant club at you kind of style. That it's beautiful stuff. So check out some Stenched. Alright, as far as live bands go, yeah, more often than not, bands aren't quite as good live as they can manage to get on in studio, I find. I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of bands that are better live, I think, but for the super heavy aspect of things, I was trying to have a think about bands that I've seen that were like that, and I mean, most of these bands I haven't actually seen live. I mean, I've seen Grave, they did not sound as killer as Anatomia as that. I've seen Bolt Thrower, they did not sound like Realm of Chaos, unfortunately. They sounded cool, don't get me wrong, but the ones that I could think of that really made an impression on me was a New York band called Battleless, sort of heavy industrial metal sort of stuff. I saw them at St. Vitus Bar in Brooklyn, and it was super loud, but the sound was just perfect. The bass was crushing. I didn't know any of their music before that, and was just blown away. It was ridiculous. They were playing with like a black metal band or something or other, totally out of place sort of thing. I think they took a while to set up, but the sound guy, I think Justin was his name at the time, really knew what he was doing. That was the same trip I think that I saw Demonical. It was like the best sounding Swedish death metal band I've ever seen. It was an amazing sound. But yeah, Battleless was just destroying. It was really loud, but just perfect clarity, perfect heaviness. And the only other one I could think of that was a bit more fun, I think, was and I think I've told this before. There was an old Canberra band called Log, who were various members of Pod People and Codpiece and various other bands, and they were just a sort of chunky, groovy kind of band. They had sort of rotating membership. There was several of them lived in Wollongong and the rest lived in Canberra, so it sort of varied who played, but they played One Metal for the Brain, which is like a big festival in Australia. They played one of those, and at the time they had all three bassists played, plus a singer, plus two guitarists, and of course a drummer, and it was the best live sound for them. It was just a wall of like rumble. It was beautiful stuff. I mean, their stuff was really quite simple and groovy, but just heavy as shit. It was a beautiful sight to see. With the time machine, that's one of my memories I would go back to and just go, "Whoa, yeah, that's the shit." So anyway, now you've probably understand a little more about how I get my musical jollies, you could say. As I said, this is just a certain category that I made up and maintain in my head of a stupid list of super heavy bands, or just a bit of fun, really. So, yeah, as I said, if any of this sounds familiar and I haven't listed a band that you can think of, feel free to leave a comment, because I'm always on the hunt for more super heavy stuff. And so, yeah, I hope I didn't get in trouble with YouTube for doing this. As I said, I won't be monetizing probably, but I hope you enjoyed the slightly longer samples and the rumbleness of it all if you made it this far. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you again soon. Cheers.